2023. Start time 7:02. Everybody would stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer. Pledge allegiance to the flag. To the republic. Nation. Indivisible. Mr. Schultz or Eric?
Dear Father God, thank you so much for the community that we have. We ask for your continued hand of protection on our police, our fire, and our service, our school district. And in the name we pray.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman Schultz. Denise, roll call, please.
Mr. Ziegler?
Here.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Here.
Ms. Grazia?
Here.
Mr. Hamer?
Here.
Mr. Lowry? Mr. Scholes?
Here.
Mr. Smolik?
Here. Okay, I guess we're going to suspend the rules of council, I believe, Mr. Lallo, for the swearing in of Officer Jake Scott.
That is right.
Okay. Mayor Chief McAllister, if you would. Okay, motion? Second?
Second.
Is there all in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion done.
Steal the podium here. I've got a few notes on here.
You're losing the top.
Is it sliding?
Yeah, it's two-piece.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out and for what has been seems to me like a forever search. We've been looking for an extra patrolman for about a year and a half now, and we've been taking every application and just trying to find the right person that we feel like is going to be the fit for our police department, really mesh with our agency. Jake has really set himself apart in the application process, and I think he brings a level of life experience that is very difficult to find nowadays. He's basically, he's lived his life. He's been a part of a rock band. He's toured. He's done concerts. He has music that you can purchase and download online if you like. I'm sure he could share that band with you. Jake, he's a tattoo artist, if I didn't have to say so. So he's very good at what he does, and he has a passion for the craft. And just a little bit of that, I was able to see how having tattoos can disarm somebody. Jake assisted us on a traffic stop one day when he's working over at Holden, and he was able to go out and talk to the person in the car that was pretty upset about being stopped. He had some stuff that he shouldn't have in the car. And so Jake was able to disarm him, and they started talking about tattoos and artwork and turned something that could have been a hard situation for us to deal with into something very easy. And it became really obvious to me then that he was just starting this application process with us, that, his ability to talk to people along with his distinct look is something that's good for law enforcement. And I think it's something that we need to embrace as a culture and really start looking at people outside of what we would consider normal for us today. Jake speaks 4 languages fluently, French, English, Hebrew, and Spanish, and he dabbles in multiple other languages with so proficiency. Jake tried to get into the United States, which branch? All branches. And the military in the United States wouldn't accept him because he has face tattoos. So with his need for service, he reached out with his Israeli roots and applied with the Israel Defense Forces. And he did a tour with the Israeli Defense Forces, where he learned Hebrew in how many months? 3 months. He's fluent in Hebrew and with a 3-month course. But Jake had very high marks on all the paperwork that I saw from there, and he was very well respected, and everybody spoke of how high of his service attitude that he had. He's a firearms retailer, but he works mostly with law enforcement, so maybe we can work something in for you.
We had a very nice conversation on firearms at the,
Good. He's a certified canine trader. He's done national and international competitions and placed in those competitions. You know, he's currently working towards his degree. He's currently maintaining a 3.97 GPA while trying to get a job in law enforcement, running his own business with canines and stuff. And I just can't say enough about what I feel Jake Scott's bringing to the table for the city of Kirtland. I think he's going to fit in very well with our organization. I think everybody here has embraced him and has a very good feeling about him. And I just want to say that I look forward to what you're going to do here. And I just want to welcome you to our family. And we're very happy to have you if you want to come up.
Therese, keep that camera focusing that way.
So really quick here, I did have a chance to sit with the chief and Jake, I don't know, 5-6 weeks ago, and that was my opportunity to meet Jake, and I'd heard a lot of good things about him from the chief. And I think when Jake, 45 minutes to an hour, we sat down and talked and kind of, talked about all the things, or so many of the things that the chief just talked about. When Jake walked out and I knew he was gone, I said to the chief, I said, when can we hire him? So he made an impression on me, certainly, and really excited to have you join the Kirtland Police Force. So nothing else from me. Let's do the oath of office. Okay, raise your right hand, left hand on the Bible, please. Repeat after me, please. I, Jake Scott, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Ohio, the Charter, the ordinances and resolutions of the City of Kirtland, and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge my duties as police officer to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Black Jacket's getting a workout. Congratulations. Thank you.
I like Deputy Clerk, Deputy Clerk Magwell with the rip release. Yeah, could speak up to that.
There he is. You see who just walked in? You see who just walked in?
Okay, just give us a second here. We'll let them clear out to the back so they could take some pictures.
Sure.
Chief, take your time out there. We'll bring you in last. Okay, so take your time out there. Okay. Oh man, I thought people were here to see me at the council meeting too, and that's all for that. Oh, and I see Mr. Lesnick back there too. Okay, we got the roll call, and next up is reading and approval of minutes of June 20th, 2023 work session. Need a motion and a second?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Any questions? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes, Mr. Smolik,
Yes. Okay, on to minutes of the June 20th, 2023 council meeting. Need a motion and a second?
Motion.
Motion, okay. Motion by Ms. Grazia,
Second.
second by Mr. Fenstermaker. Any questions? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes, Mr. Smolik,
Yes. Okay, on to department reports. We'll start with Chief Hutton.
Thank you, Mr. President. No formal report tonight. A couple things to report on. 4th of July weekend was pretty uneventful for us, which is a very good thing. No injuries, no fires reported. Also, reminder, this weekend is Wonderstruck up at Lakeland College. So probably expect a lot of traffic up there, probably some noise. We'll be providing EMS coverage along with University Hospital. The police department will have a large contingent there for safety and security. Other than that, I'm open for any questions.
Any questions for Chief Hutton?
Chief, I know you mentioned this before, but when's the opening date for the clinic up on?
For the hospital? The new Menor Hospital, which is going to be called the Menor Hospital from as far as we know right now, will open on the 11th of July. So
As of next week, July 11th. Okay,
next week.
great.
Yeah. We last week we participated in a mock emergency trial. We transported patients. Several fire departments were involved. They had helicopters on site. This week, all 3 of our shifts will be passing through the next couple days anyway. We'll go up there. The people that haven't been through will go through the ER. So a lot of people that are Cleveland Clinic patients that would like to go there, we'll be able to take them there pretty easily.
Pertaining to that, what is, I haven't read up on it, what's their specialties? What, they full scale, you know?
It's an extension of Hillcrest Hospital.
Okay.
There is no intensive care unit. There's no cardiac cath lab. We'll be able to transport patients there for different things, but it's limited. So they're going to transport a lot of patients out to different hospitals.
You said there's no cardiac care unit?
No.
And obviously, it has an emergency room there, or not?
It's got a 19-bed full emergency room
Okay.
that we'll be able to transport patients to. They have 2 trauma bays. It's not a trauma center, but it's a fully functioning emergency room and hospital.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions for Chief Hutton? Actually, had a couple pertaining to Wonderstruck Lakeland. That's a pretty big event. How many people do they generally have roll through there for the weekend?
As of today, they had sold 5,000 tickets in that range, but they expect anywhere between 8 and 10,000. They get a pretty big crowd. They've got some big named acts this year, so I think people are watching the weather, and they'll probably have a pretty big rush on Saturday and Sunday.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chief Hutton? Yeah, to you, Mr. Fenaro.
Good evening, everybody. Grass, still growing, still cutting grass. Baseball is just about to wrap up. This week will be the last week for baseball. Softball and T-ball finished up last week. We did fairly well with the rain we had coming in, a couple flooding issues that we're addressing. And I won't take Mr. Courtney's full report, so I'll let him do Old Town and the road program. And I'm open for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Fenaro? And give us an update on any sort of patching or anything that's been done recently? Any sort of patching that's been done recently? Brought up
So
about
we had a few
Regency.
complaints in the Regency area with the detour going through there, so that was patched on Friday. We'll be doing some hot patch on Hillcrest tomorrow. Crackshill also started. And we did 1 ditch elimination and 2 scheduled for next week.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions for Mr. Fenaro?
Mr. Smollett, can you please schedule a service committee meeting?
Oh, pertaining to
Equipment.
equipment, okay. That is Mr. Hamer and Mr. Fenstermaker, so we will, anything work well with you, gentlemen? Or what work, you want to do it before next meeting?
I just
or-
wanted to make sure I got it in tonight. You can talk about whenever it works
Okay.
for the three of you.
We'll get that tidied up at the end of the
Thanks.
meeting here. Okay.
No, I'm back.
Monday, okay, so we could possibly do it before the meeting? Would before next council meeting work? Mr. Hamer, that work for you? Yeah. 6 o'clock tentatively? 6 o'clock?
We don't need long. It's the equipment that we're going to put up for on Gov Deals. So
So, Mr. Fenaro, so 6 o'clock, July 10th, next council meeting? 6:30. Or 6:30? Okay. Well, I wasn't sure if we were going to have a work session. Well, we are, but regular work session for them. Okay. 6:30 then? You think 6 o'clock work for you, Ron?
6 or 6:30, whichever one you guys end up on.
Okay, we had two 6:30s here, so let's go for 6:30 right now. And that'll be July 10th, pertaining to equipment needs for the service department?
equipment going up for auction.
Oh, okay, equipment going for auction, okay. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Fenaro? On to, actually, let's go back to Chief McAllister.
Thank you, Council President. I think I got my fill of public speaking in for the night. I just want to let you know, we took over Friday, Saturday, all the way through the 4th, only 7 fireworks complaints, 2 of which we actually located people setting them off. And after a brief conversation, they didn't deploy anymore. So there was no follow-up action that was necessary. So it was just a pretty safe 4th for the police department. Don't have anything further, but I am open for any questions.
Any questions for Chief Hutton? And I do not know of anybody who blew fireworks off this past weekend. So, okay. Okay, on to Mr. Courtney.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. We have signed contracts back from Specialized Construction, so we're waiting for those to be executed by the city. We don't have a start date for them yet. I've requested their schedule, still waiting. We're waiting signed contracts back from Cole Burton Contractors, who will be doing Crestwood this year. As soon as we have those, we'll get them over here to City Hall for signatures there. Old Town sewer improvements, all the main line and lateral connections are complete. And sewers are tested. And as far as I know, no issues there. Spoke to the county today. The paving should start this week on Elm and Eisenhower, and that should be completed by the end of the week. With respect to the Eisenhower pavement, the contractor will be making some repairs in localized areas, and rather than putting a thicker section of asphalt in just over the sewer trench, they're going to put 3 inches over the entire pavement. So that should hold the pavement until we get to it next year for a full rehab on it. No updates on the ODOT bridge projects. Fox Hill drainage improvements. The final adjusting change order for the project is included in tonight's agenda. That's resolution 23R52. Establishes the final construction cost of $65,051.84. All the work is complete, and that's just the final reconciliation of all the quantities. And we're looking for that to be passed tonight, please. I have no other updates. Happy to take any questions.
Mr. Courtney, can you just walk the council through what you and I just talked about?
Sure.
So they understand that? Thank you.
Yep. So with respect to the Fox Hill drainage improvements, The original contract amount was $62,028.45. We had one change order midstream in the amount of $6,972.59. That took the adjusted contract amount to over 70 or just shy of $70,000. This change order, with reconciling all the quantities, accounts for any overruns, any unused quantities, and takes the net of all that. This change order is a negative $3,949.20. So that's how we established the final contract amount of $65,051.94.
Thank you. You answered my question also. Anything else any questions for Mr. Courtney? Phase 1 at the Old Town, when is that approximately going to be completed up then for the year?
Phase 1.
Yeah.
So I've been told the paving is happening this week.
Okay.
And then from that point, I believe it's just restoration work with topsoil seeding, mulching, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Courtney? On to, Mr. Lallo.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Just a couple quick notes. Record retention. I know I've been speaking over the last few meetings. Just want to let you know I do have everything finalized. I plan on actually sending, I have it separated by department. I plan on sending it out to each of the department heads to review and offer their input in preparation for a records commission meeting that will be convening at some point in the next few weeks. I have that, and then I can also tell you on the next meeting agenda, I think there will be a request to modify the compensatory time on the agenda, just to change the fiscal year date on it. It only applies to service department employees, does not apply to collective bargaining units, which will be police and fire. This only applies to service department. After consulting with the mayor, Ms. Fernaro, there was a discussion as it relates to the actual date and when they could cash them in versus carryovers. So you can expect to see that on the next meeting agenda. We also have on this agenda the ordinance addressing the rezone of that residential property on the north end of town by Menor and Lakeland Community College. That ordinance does, we have the public hearing scheduled for next week on that. And with that, that's incorporated into this ordinance. Also with that, assuming, or if council were to pass it, within this ordinance, it certifies that issue to the Board of Elections. So that's all on the agenda. And then obviously you do have the third reading of that policy for 101. I wasn't sure if there were any questions for me regarding that, or if you have any other questions regarding anything else, I'm all ears for you.
For the 23R53 for the property, we let that go to next reading. That's the public.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Gotcha.
This council can't do anything with that until after you hold a public hearing.
Okay. And did they need to have that passed due to on the 10th? Then?
Yes.
Correct. I believe. Okay.
Yeah, depending on whatever council wants to do, my recommendation would be to address it on that date.
Okay.
If it's not done on that date, then you would either need to schedule a special meeting.
Because you need to have that on before the 1st of August, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So it could get certified over to the Board of Elections. Otherwise, you'll have to wait until the primary in March, I believe it is. March or
Gotcha. Okay. So if council has any questions, please email those to Mr. Lallo so that can be addressed before the next meeting.
Yep.
Any questions for Mr. Lallo? Did you have anything else, Mr. Lallo?
I don't have anything else unless there's questions for me.
Oh, I believe Mr. Schultz had a question pertaining to.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I missed, it's August 9th that this ballot issue would have to go to the BOE, right?
It's 90 days before the election. So I don't
So if
have
we're
the-
not meeting till August 21st,
Correct.
then yeah. Well, no, next meeting, oh, the 10th, okay.
Yeah, we have a meeting next week.
I didn't know when
Oh.
when's the public hearing?
Monday next week.
Oh, it is on the 10th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do have a quick turnaround time on the next meeting.
Okay.
I believe Mr. Schultz had a question pertaining to 23R43 wording in relation to the charter, Article 1, Section 5.
Yeah, Matt, in looking at the charter and then this 101 that was
Sure.
prepared, I believe, by Lexipol, would this be considered a change to the charter that would need to go to the voters? Because some of the resolution is touched on in Section 2 qualifications.
No, this definitely is not addressing the charter. First and foremost, if there is ever a conflict, the charter prevails. That's always the first line. But I don't see any conflict here.
I'm not saying it's a conflict. I'm
Okay.
saying it's like in addition to
Oh, understood.
some things that are already here.
Understood.
So
Implicated in the ordinance.
yeah, so I'm seeing it as we're adding to the charter without going through a charter amendment.
Understood.
Yeah.
I would say we're not adding to the charter, definitely not adding to the charter. If anything, all you're doing is just creating an extra bit of oversight on council. And I think that's part of the reason why the thought was to present this to council to adopt this policy. The charter is kind of the bare minimum. And as it relates to, what you can and can't do, right? If you want to, if you want to create more restrictions, I'm trying to put it in better terms. Because I don't want to say restrictions such that you're eliminating someone's ability to be a council member. How's the right way to put it? Like, I'm trying to think of an example that might come into play, and I can't quite think of one right now. But it's just you're giving yourself a bit of extra oversight. That's all it is.
And
Okay.
23R43 doesn't just relate to council, it would relate to any elected
Any elected
position.
official, and that would include the mayor in this situation. Yeah.
Right, well, there's the
And similar
language for the mayor in
Exactly.
the charter as well. So there's just
exactly.
a little change in relative to interest in a contract once
Mm-hmm.
leaving office. Okay, that was my question, because I guess from perspective, you can say, well, you can change the charter without changing the charter.
Oh,
Right? If somebody was to take that stance saying you're adding to the charter without it going to the voters.
No, I understand where you're coming at, and I would say no, like definitely not changing the charter. All this is doing is just kind of codifying what we have in the charter, and just saying, hey, listen, these are policies and procedures and best practices. They're best practices. That's what they are, really, for council or for elected officials.
Okay, all right, well, thank you.
Mr. Schultz, are you good with going to a third reading with it? Or,
Well, this
it
is the
is-
third
yeah.
reading.
yeah, I was going to say, are you good?
I mean, do
is
you
the
have
third
other
reading
questions,
tonight,
or
so-
do you want, like, I just want to make sure I kind
No,
of. address-
that was my concern. I was kind of looking at it two ways.
I know you were on vacation, and that's why I wanted to make sure we let you take a look at that.
Yeah, I
so.
appreciate you stating that last meeting. I just, when I went back to the charter and I just started reading, I'm like, a little bit's duplicative. Can it be considered an enhancement to the charter? And if so, does it go to the voters or does it stay with us?
Understood.
Right.
Understood.
And I didn't know if it could be taken either way, because then,
Understood. No, I mean, my opinion is that this in no way affects the charter or changes the charter such that it would have to go to the voters for a modification.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Matt Lallo? Okay, now we're on to Ms. Zeri. Anything to report for the Community Senior Center?
Sure. Good evening. First, as always, just thank you to Police, Fire, and Service for keeping everyone safe, not only during the holiday weekend, but the storms this weekend as well. I know people were concerned, but they took care of us like they always do, so thank you, gentlemen. Last week, we had our first of the 5 library gazebo concerts. So the Sheldon Polka Band came in on Wednesday night. Due to the air quality, we pivoted pretty quickly, working with Jane Carl at the library, and with the help of Mr. Fernaro and Chief McAllister, decided to move it inside to the community center. So we did have a secondary location. It was standing room only. People were incredibly appreciative of moving inside. So it was definitely a success. And hopefully we will not have to cancel any of the upcoming events due to weather. So that's my big update. The senior center is doing great as always. It's always nice to see people out on the pickleball courts as well as inside with all of our activities and classes. I'm open for any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Zeri? Thank you, Teresa. Okay, on to mayor's report, or sorry, yeah, that was it, department's report. On to mayor's reports and announcements.
Good evening, and thank you, Council President Smolik. Just again, a quick congratulations to Jake Scott as he joined the Kirtland Police Department tonight. To reiterate what Chief McAllister and myself said at the beginning of this meeting prior to the oath of office, I think we've got a really good one here and really excited to have him aboard. So congratulations to Jake, and job well done by the chief for, not just jumping for anybody over the course of the last year, as council had budgeted for that position last year. So thank you to the chief for that. Next week at the planning and zoning meeting, we will have a conceptual review for the northwest corner of the 6306 intersection, the Mills property. The group that will be presenting a 90-ish bed nursing facility, the concept of that or for that. So welcome everybody to attend and kind of come out, and I haven't seen any renderings yet, but I know that they will have some boards here and some articles for dissemination through that meeting for the zoning board. So it'll be not a real in-depth or long conversation, but just nonetheless an introductory kind of discussion related to the potential project. I want to thank Teresa and the Chiefs and Joe. While I was out of town on vacation last week, the air quality issue came up related to the concert, and with the help of Jane Carl at the library, they made a quick decision to get that concert moved up to the community center, and it was a resounding success, it sounds like. But it's really nice to be away and out of town and just have people like this to rely on and to help make these decisions, so I could continue to enjoy my vacation. So thanks to all of them. I did speak to Commissioner Rich Regovich, and I actually have a phone call, been playing phone tag with the mayor of Kirtland Hills, Jack Turbin, related to some of the bridge work going on over in Regency. I talked to Rich, we finally caught up today, looking to see if there's any help that, with all of the trucks coming through Regency Woods, and we're getting a lot of calls and emails related to the extra abuse that area has been taking. So I asked Rich if there was any funds available to help us with Regency in the future. He was receptive, doesn't know, exactly, couldn't make any promises, of course, but we'll stay tuned on that as the year progresses. And then I think Teresa mentioned on the 12th and the 19th, we'll have a couple more concerts. And then next Monday, July 10th, at 1 o'clock at the Senior Center, I will be up there speaking to the residents, to the seniors, about any potential development here in downtown as to, the original kind of concept sent over by Maroos or introduced by Maroos, and some of the things that, with the help of Councilman Fenstermaker and a steering committee, kind of good cross section of the community has helped kind of, begin to distill some of the questions and the concerns and the ideas for what the best project could be. So look forward to having that conversation with the seniors, and thanks again to Councilman Fenstermaker for all of his help in regard to that project.
Mayor, real quick, was that going to be at noon next Monday?
1 o'clock, Teresa?
1 o'clock? Thank you, sir.
Mayor, if I can,
Yeah.
I'd like to join you with that. I'm off.
It's open to the public.
Only if it's chili.
That's something different. You have to bring it.
Oh, no, I just want to eat it.
Food, not to.
Sorry about the interruption, Mayor. Go right ahead.
No, it's okay. So really, that's kind of it, and open for any questions.
Any questions for the mayor?
So the nursing facility at the corner of 6 and 306, and, you know, I really haven't read or looked at. Oh. Can you guys hear me? Is that better? What, is there a name, like any type of nursing facility that has locations elsewhere that they're looking to open up?
Yeah, I think when they come here, when they come and present, I think they'll probably point to a couple of the
Okay.
local facilities that they have, and I've seen at least one of them, and it's highly impressive as to how they operate and the quality of care that seems to go on at those places. But I'll let them, because truthfully, I don't know what the ultimate how they'll define themselves in terms of the organization or LLC that they might either be forming, or they have several companies that do this. So I don't know exactly which one of those companies they'll be using, I guess I should say, to do the development. So there's really nothing I can point to
Okay. No, that's
here
okay.
tonight.
I just was curious. And obviously this is very early.
Very early.
So, I mean, let's say things kind of start falling into place. I mean, what time frame are we looking at possibly?
August 1st?
I mean, a couple years, 5 years? I'm sure at least a couple years.
Yeah, it would be at least a couple. It would be at least a couple years from their side, and obviously, you know, this will beg the question to the city: is this the right kind of project that brings impetus to, you know, expanding our sewers, municipal sanitary sewers,
That's
right?
the main thing.
So that'll be the biggest thing, and so Eddie and myself and Joe and Doug, we've had conversations with the county already. Just, you know, whether it was a project like this or something else, what all would have to happen to expand sewers, right? So early conversations, but nonetheless, I think out of this meeting, you know, we'll probably start to turn up the heat a little bit as far as that conversation, what it takes.
Thank you.
And that will
That
be
makes sense?
the, Mayor, that will be the planning and zoning meeting on July 11th,
The
correct?
11th, yes. Right, Denise?
Thank you, Mayor.
Tuesday.
What was that?
Tuesday, because we're here on Monday. Yes.
Yeah, Monday,
Here
yeah.
on Tuesday.
Any other questions for the mayor? Thank you, Mayor. Okay, any standing committee reports? I believe we don't have scheduled one. July 10th, 6:30, that'll be Mr. Fenstermaker, Mr. Hammer, and myself for Service Department pertaining to equipment going to auction. We got any good stuff there? Any stuff I might want to bid on? Okay, good. Okay. Anything else with us? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to also see, Lewis isn't here, but I wanted to check his availability for a mid-year check-in.
Oh, okay.
Finances.
Finance committee meeting?
Yeah, if it's
Okay,
possible, I could
would you like
reach
to
out
try
to
that
him.
before the 10th meeting or when we come back from break? Or,
I'd probably rather, he would have the first 6 months reconciled by the time July 10th came along.
okay, do you want to, for next meeting, just make it a point that he blocks out during the course of the meeting to go into a little bit more detail? Or you want to do it before?
Do you know if he's going to be here next meeting?
Yeah, he'll be here. I would suggest doing your committee meeting at 6 for the service department, and then 6:30 roll into a finance meeting. Does that make sense, Matt?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how long it would take. I'm
Okay.
hoping it's just a 15-minute check-in with him, but I don't
Denise,
want to pinch you or,
let's revise that to 6 o'clock on July 10th, Monday, for the service committee meeting relating to equipment going to auction, followed by a 6:30 finance committee as council as a whole. Afterwards at 6:30
thank you.
for July 10th, please. So 6 for the service committee. Purpose to review the mid-year finances. Thank you, Denise. Anything else pertaining to committee reports? Okay, on to correspondence. I don't see any correspondence. Denise, was there any correspondence I was supposed to read off? Okay, I didn't see any. Okay.
We do have the correspondence from Mr. Lesnick regarding NOPEC.
Oh, okay. Oh, correct. Let me pull that up, actually. Mr. Lesnick. Okay, Mr. Lesnick, Utilities Standing Committee and Council. I request that the legislation allow NOPEC the ability to automatically change residents' gas and/or electric supply to be revised to a written opt-in confirmation instead of the current opt-out. I was notified by PUCO, is that pronounced properly? And the illuminating company, the price to compare change to 0.124 dollars per kilowatt hour as of June 1st. This was more than double the rate I had paid in May at 0.0590 kilowatt per kilowatt hour. As such, I requested a change on June 18th to Energy Harbor at a fixed rate of 0.0638 per kilowatt hours for 18 months. Today, I called the illuminating company to question why the supplier change request would take place on August 2nd, over 1 month after my next meter reading date of June 29th. To my surprise, they claimed I had not returned an opt-out letter from NOPEC by May 15th, and so NOPEC became my supplier as of May 31st. Because of the change by NOPEC, it delays the ability to change the Energy Harbor. In turn, that causes me to pay any differences for that extra amount of time. Worse yet, First Energy could not even tell me what the NOPEC supply rate is for June. NOPEC had not sent me a bill, had not sent the bill to the First Energy yet for inclusion in my June bill, and was the reason given. NOPEC should not be allowed to change residents' utility services without written opt-out confirmation. Please let me know when you will discuss this in council meeting so I can be in attendance. And Mr. Lesnick is in attendance. Would you like to elaborate on that, Mr. Lesnick?
John Lesnick. Is this on? Yeah. John Lesnick, 9235 Regency Woods Drive. So a little background on this. Back last November, we had gas rates change. NOPEC doubled the gas rates. And so a bunch of us looked at all of this and obviously changed those rates and changed to whatever. I think I went with Dominion, which was cheaper. But what happens is you're not allowed to, neither the gas company nor the electric company allow you to change like right that day when you call or write or whatever. It's always at the end of a billing cycle or at the next meter reading. The problem is that in this particular case, now I went with both electric, the illuminating company for electric and Dominion for gas back at that time because NOPEC's rates were too high. And the only explanation they gave is we didn't do very good negotiating. And so that's what happens. But they have the ability to change that. And they did again. And I was told this because there's legislation that said the local government is what I was given by the illuminating company. That's what they told me, that our local government allows that to happen. I asked, was that the state or was that the county or was that the city? And they said the city of Kirtland. No one should be able to change my service provider without my written confirmation, period. If I want to pay because I'm a First Energy stockholder, if I want to pay 12 cents, that's my prerogative. Of course, I don't, but now I can't change for another 30 days because they've already changed me to NOPEC, and I don't even know what I'm paying. So I guess first thing I'd like to know is there legislation that allows NOPEC to automatically change residents' rates because you don't send a letter back?
So from what I can recall, I believe the city opted into NOPEC a long time ago, years. Correct. And then what happened was NOPEC, they'll do their aggregate purchasing or bidding for whether it's electrical or gas or what have you. And when they did it for the electrical, they, as you noted, they kind of got a bad deal, you might say, or at the time that they put in the bid for all of it, the rates were very high. They've since come down and they can't renegotiate their rates with those bids. They have to take them as they are. So because of that, I think they automatically opted out everybody, or they gave everybody the option to opt out It was all over the news. No, this was probably, yes. And then they sent out notices within the last year saying, all right, we're going to opt everybody back in. So what happened was you always have to opt out. Okay. Once the city opted in, the only way to get out is for the resident to opt out. What NOPEC did when they got that raw deal, they automatically had everybody opt out. Okay. So they automatically opted everyone out for their benefit so that they can get whatever rates, the better rates that were available. And then now, like more recently, I think as of May 2nd, I think it was, they said that was the deadline for you to either, they were opting everybody back in, just going back to their prior agreements with the municipalities or local governments that have those agreements. So everybody, they were just re-enrolling everybody. Now, what they were saying is, we're going to re-enroll you, and you have until May 2nd to opt out and choose whatever provider you want. If you don't do anything, you're going to be automatically re-enrolled or re-enlisted in NOPEC. So I think that was, I mean, that was kind of all over the news and whatnot about that whole process and what you can do. Because I think there was so many phone calls there where you would have to call and opt out, or I think they even said take a picture of your postcard that they send out and email it to this address, and then you could opt out at that point or send an email. So I think that's the background where the city, I can't tell you the date as to when the city enrolled in NOPEC, but that's kind of how that process worked. Was NOPEC had that really, really bad deal for the benefit of the stakeholders. I think we had somebody from NOPEC come at that point, and they told council at that time that they were going to opt everybody out. But then once everything kind of got back to normal, as close to normal as possible, they started re-enrolling everybody and saying you're being re-enrolled, but you have the right to opt out, and it's this deadline.
Mr. Lello, for the opt-in for Kirtland Go, any Lake County city opts in the same way, basically. Any Lake County, other city in Lake County would opt in the same way. It's not like special. It's not different from one city to the other with this.
No.
We know NOPEC rolls that program, right?
No.
Okay.
I'm guessing the original ballot language would have been standardized across communities, and that's probably, my assumption would be, maybe it's wrong to assume, but my assumption would be because of that standardization, that language, this opt-in, opt-out, was probably embedded in there somewhere, right, as to how the system works.
Correct.
Do we know when we passed that legislation? When it went to,
I want
do
to
we
say,
know how old that is?
well, so I think it came on the heels of deregulation, so it was like early 2000s, I want to say.
And then just another clear statement. My issue with NOPEC was, even though they said, hey, rates are too high and we're going to let everybody go back to First Energy or Illuminating Company, whichever one it was, I still got stuck with a month and a half, almost 2 months worth of charges that the Illuminating Company billed me for NOPEC that I had to pay. So now I'm back to that same situation. I opted to stay with NOPEC for now because they're actually cheaper. But, I mean, I'm still worried about that same scenario again. So, yeah, they kicked us out when they said, hey, things are too high. But I still got drilled with some pretty high bills. So I understand your concern.
Yeah, and that's the point. When we were presented with that ballot language and, it obviously passed, it was because, I wouldn't say promised, but we were definitely kind of led to believe that they were always going to look out and be the cheapest because they were able to aggregate all this because they have so many people. Well, the fact of the matter is they're not. Even now, they're not. I mean, again, it's a few cents, but I can get a fixed rate with Energy Harbor. I can actually go with some company in Texas and get like a 6 or 5.998 or something fixed for 18 months. The standard, the SCO rate, as NOPEC calls it, or so does First Energy, is like 6.42, and that will change. It will change in a month or so. It's not fixed for any length of time. So they're not getting us the best deal, and I don't think everybody knows this. And the other thing is, I'm sorry, but you send something, if you don't happen to be in town when they send it out, and you're not there in time to send it back, you don't even know it happened. So it's not right. It should not be able to change that unless they're going to guarantee us the lowest rate that's available, period. And I mean, and the same thing that Mr. Fenstermaker said. So here I am for 2 months. I'm going to have, and amazingly, it just so happens when it's right in time for air conditioning season. And in November, it happened just in time for heating season.
They get you for that extra month.
Yeah, so now I got double rates for 2 months. That's not right.
And to that, Mr. Lesnick, I think even if when you change, do it on your own, whether it's Harbor Energy or Energy Harbor or whatever that one, you go to any, whenever you change these, there is like a 2-month lag on these, I believe, right,
No,
when they switch over.
No, it's 30 to 45 days, depending on what it is.
One billing cycle at least, right?
Well,
Sometimes
mine's
it's
2 billing cycles because they changed me on May 31st to NOPEC, so now I can't change again for another 30 to 45 days.
Correct, okay.
Which is, again, wrong.
It would
now,
be.
I may luck out in this case because I don't know what the NOPEC rate is that I'm actually being billed. I'm guessing it's less than 12 cents per kilowatt hour, but the point still remains, it could not have been. So
I tried looking actually up earlier this week pertaining to your email, see if I could get a historical. I mean, obviously, I think NOPEC's generally been lower than the bulk of them, the majority of time over the years. But it'd be curious how far they were from the lowest, if they were like 10, 20, in just the top 10%, 20% of what was offered at any given time.
And I can appreciate that they won't necessarily always be the lowest, but when something like this happens, that, you can't expect, I mean, if, hey, like I am, I'm retired, you're on a fixed income, and I don't do budget billing, so I just pay, because then I'll be ahead all the time, because what normally happens with those types of billings. So now all of a sudden I get, I don't know, I turn my air conditioning on, think I'm going to get some low rate, and now I got a $300 electric bill. I mean, that's not right. So I don't know what can be done, but I guess I understand your answer, but I don't like it.
Understood.
So what can be done about it?
Mr. Lesnick, I just wanted to add one point that occurred to me is, they have the estimate, actual. One thing you might want to do is call in the actual meter reading.
Mine are all actual.
They're all, okay.
All mine are actual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because mine are randomly sometimes 2-3 estimates in a row and then an actual, even with the digital metering. I don't know why that occurs.
I used to work for the company. I know how it works. So I used to work for the illuminating company, not NOPEC.
Well, I believe the estimated, that's gone down. There used to be a lot more estimated. I believe they have you just drive by some technology that they pick up all these things a lot quicker now on that, so you don't get as many estimated.
Yeah.
I highly recommend you get the windmill and some solar panels
some
on your
solar
house.
panels, right. Yeah, okay.
And do wind.
Before he steps away, can we look at the legislation that we passed back in whenever it was, or that we put out to the residents to see if there's anything that could possibly be put on the ballot?
I'd have to take a look at it. My guess would be no. They have the way it is, we opt by whatever the legislation was to engage with NOPEC, we opt in automatically. It's the resident's obligation or choice to opt out. This was a unique scenario where originally NOPEC allowed everybody to opt out, or they automatically opted everybody out. And they were just re-enrolling those prior enrollees. And that's where we were at here.
They did not opt me out. I opted out, and they re-enrolled me.
Okay.
And I didn't opt in to them, and I opted out from them before the 2-month period that then they opted everybody out across the board because I wasn't going to pay for it. If nothing else, then I guess, I don't know what the legislation is. Obviously, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Can you find it and send it to me?
Absolutely.
Because then I'll address it again, but I don't think it's right. With today's technology, there should be an easy way. I should be able to go to my utility. I pay everything online. I should easily be able to get an email versus some piece of mail, because that way, if I happen to be gone somewhere that's a little warmer than here in February or March or whenever they decide to do it, I should be able to then click the little box and it's done versus the other way around.
John, I know that there was an online option to do it.
I didn't get any of those.
I would be curious.
My wife did it for us, and she opted out online. So
Yeah, you can go into it if you have NOPEC, you can opt out online. If you have First Energy, you can opt out and go to somebody else. You can always change those online, but I'm saying getting the
notification.
getting the notification.
Through the mail, got it.
Yeah, I don't know if, did she get a notification from NOPEC online? Yeah, see, I didn't get it, so I guess I'd like to look
Mr.
into that.
Lesnick, I would be curious, Mr. Lallo, obviously NOPEC sends that notification out. Is there some way the city, I mean, not in a mailing type of way, but could the city, like 2 months before that contract comes up, maybe put it up on the website, like a month, 2 months before, or a month before that's coming up, to hopefully make residents aware that it is coming
Good luck with that, because, I mean, you don't even, I mean, as it was, June 1st is when the PUCO sends out the rate change notifications, and they're effective June 1st. So,
It
I
happens
mean, if you
quickly.
happen right away, you still have 30, 45 days that whoever you're with, if they're too high, you're going to pay them, which is a whole nother thing that this council can't address, but the state should, because I think it's not right. I mean, you should be able to change those any time you want. That, I picked it. I mean, this is all just freewheeling energy that goes through the pipes and across the wires. I should be able to change that immediately, not have to wait for a billing cycle.
Mr. Smolik, I'll be more than happy to reach out to our NOPEC rep and have them come in. They did come in on April 3rd to talk about this whole issue when they're having
Okay.
it. So if that's something you'd like me to do, I would definitely reach out to her.
What are you thinking for August? Yeah, make sure John's here. I want to have John rake him over the coals.
Just let me know when you want me to reach out.
And that's a good idea. Real quick, on our,
Actually, that would be fantastic, though, just to have them just stop and just discuss it in
2009?
general. We could get them in August, September, whenever, September, that'd be great.
on our city website, it says we're under utilities. We've got NOPEC, and then in parentheses, it says as of August 2009. So I don't know if maybe I was off on when the actual
Goes
vote
back to
was.
2009? Okay.
That might be
I think it
accurate.
was-
I also
might have
wanted to note, the city's Facebook page did put a couple, at least one notification for trying to opt out, to dial a number, press this prompt, and what have you as well.
Excellent. We did that once. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was April, sometime in April.
Maybe that's something we could put on the city webpage, or not allowed type of thing.
Correct.
Right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr.
We'll get you
Lesnick.
the legislation.
Okay, that was correspondence, and I guess that was a public comment and matter that was not on the agenda also, but we open the public comments and matters not on the agenda to the rest of the residents also. Nothing at this time. Okay, old business. Any public comments on the agenda items of old business? None at this time. Okay, we have resolution number 23-R-43, third reading, a resolution ratifying and adopting policy 101, addressing standards of conduct for elected officials and declaring an emergency. This is the third reading. Need a motion and a second?
Motion to adopt and declare an emergency.
Okay, Ron and Ms. Grazia with the second. Any questions, discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes. Okay, on to resolution number 23-R-46, second reading, a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service to solicit bids for citywide residential solid waste collection, disposal, and recycling services, and declaring an emergency. This is the second reading. I believe we wanted to, needed a waive the third three readings and to pass tonight. We could get a motion to waive the three readings.
Motion to waive the three readings?
Ms. Councilman Schultz and Councilwoman Grazia. Any questions, discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes. And then I believe we need a motion to declare an emergency and to adopt also.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes. Okay, on to new business. Public comments on the agenda of items of new business? Any public comments? On to resolution number 23-R-51, a resolution amending resolution number 23-R-16 relating to establishing rules, time, and place of council meetings for council meetings for the period from December 1st, 2022 through November 30th, 2023, and declaring an emergency. Need a motion to waive the 3 readings. This is for, due to this meeting, from changing it from July 3rd Monday to July 5th. So this just,
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second?
Eric and Ron. Any discussion? Oh, no, sorry, that was Matt. Any questions, discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia, Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes. Need a motion to declare an emergency and adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes. Okay, on to new business, resolution number 23-R-52, a resolution authorizing a change order with Grade Line, Inc. for the Fox Hill Drive Drainage Improvement Project to decrease the contract amount by $3,949.20 and declaring an emergency and adopt. Believe we want to waive the 3 readings and to declare an emergency on this. So if we could get a motion to waive the 3 readings.
Motion to
And I
waive
believe
the 3.
Mr. Courtney discussed this earlier. That was to Ron's question. Do you have any question? Anything more on that?
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes. Need to declare an emergency? Motion to declare an emergency, please?
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes. Okay, on to ordinance number 23-R-53. I'm sorry. Pardon?
23-0. You said R.
It says R. Is it O on there? Okay. Must be a typo on the agenda sheet then. Let me double check.
I'm
says
sorry,
O
the
on it.
agenda that went out with the packets, I had
Gotcha,
attached
okay.
the wrong one after. So,
Let me,
just trying to confuse everyone.
hold on a sec. Is it O then? It is. Okay. Okay.
Sorry about
Okay, ordinance number 23-O-53, an ordinance approving the property owner's request to rezone parcel number 20-A-002-0-00-00-002-0. Any more O's we need there? No, okay. From institutional and office district to R3D, single-family residential district, submitting the issue to the electorate pursuant to Article 5, Section 5 of the city's charter, it says charter too, not charter, charter, and declaring an emergency. We need a motion to, oh, hold on, we're going to let this go with the second reading. That'll be a public thing, and then we're going to try passing it then if we need to be. Okay. Okay, on to council comments. Any council comments?
Yes.
Hey, Matt, any council comments at all? You good?
Oh, hold on, I'm asking
Okay.
if we need to
No, it's
show that way.
shown in the charter.
Okay. I didn't know if we needed to,
Mr. Scholes wasn't sure if we needed to amend the title of the ordinance itself. That was a typo in the agenda. The actual ordinance has the proper, it says charter in there with the T. So we're good.
thanks.
Actually, just got to double check it.
And those are zeros, not O's.
Yes, it is showing R. Okay, go back and look at that. Okay. Thank you, Matt. And thank you, Mr. Schultz. Any council comments? No council comments at this time? Any continuing concerns? Motion to adjourn? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye.